Good day, and thanks for coming to this important, all-important press briefing. I've got here the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Comrade Ace Makashule, and the Deputy Secretary General, Jesse Duarte. They are going to be taking you through the outcomes of the National Executive Committee, which was held yesterday until the early hours of this morning. Over to you, SG.
Good afternoon. Let me greet all of you. I'm here with the DSG of the ANC and our spokesperson. I'm going to read our statement. This is the statement of the African National Congress following our special meeting of the National Executive Committee held on the 12th of February at St. George's Hotel in Tshwane. The meeting was called to reflect on the current situation as it pertains to the position of the President, Comrade Jacob Zuma. The NEC, because as officials we have been interacting, the NEC received a report from officials on their engagement with President Zuma, and this engagement had been informed by the commitment to pursue, firstly, the interest of the country and the interest of the ANC, and the determination to handle this matter with utmost dignity. As the President of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, has said last week, we had fruitful and constructive engagement with President Jacob Zuma, and we are further taking the process forward. The NEC noted the report of the officials that the President had agreed in principle to resign and had proposed timeframes extending from 3 to 6 months. And while appreciating President Zuma's proposal, the National Executive Committee noted that South Africa is going through a period of uncertainty and anxiety as a result of the unresolved matter of transition. Further, that this uncertainty and anxiety will erode the renewed hope and confidence among South Africans since the 54th National Conference of the ANC. And therefore, the National Executive Committee firmly believes that this situation requires us to act with agency in order to steer our country towards greater levels of unity, renewal, and hope. We are therefore determined to restore the integrity of the public institution, political stability, and agent economic recovery. And some of the matters we are contending with are the opportunistic maneuvers by the opposition in Parliament, including motions of no confidence in the President, calls for the dissolution of Parliament, and other desperate acts. And the ANC's approach to this matter has, at all times, been informed by the interest of all the South African people, and sensitive of the need to handle this matter with dignity. The National Executive Committee once again sent a delegation to brief President Jacob Zuma about our decision and the fact that we couldn't shorten the time frames so that this matter is speedily resolved. So the NEC received feedback from the delegation that the President was once more pleading that this time is too short. And therefore, in its wisdom, the NEC decided as follows. 1, to recall its deployee, Comrade Jacob Zuma, in accordance with Rule 12.2, Rule 12.2, 21.2 of the ANC Constitution, which accords the NEC the authority to recall its deployees. There should be continuing, we agreed also that there should be continuing interaction between officials of the ANC and President Jacob Zuma. And the decision by the NEC to recall its deployees was only taken after exhaustive discussions. And the decisions of the ANC provide, we believe, certainty to the people of South Africa at a time when the economic and social challenges facing the country require urgent and resolute response by all sections of society. It is critical that South Africans are united around the task of growth, job creation, and economic transformation. And this decision will be communicated publicly, as we are doing now, and through appropriate forums to all structures of the ANC. Over the weekend, National Executive Committee members will go throughout the country to brief and inform our structures about the decisions we have taken. And all necessary parliamentary processes that arise from this decision will also now ensue. Because from tomorrow we'll brief our parliamentary caucus about the decisions we have taken. And we are happy that there was cooperation between all of us, President Jacob Zuma and all of us. The only thing is that we couldn't agree on the shortened period in terms of the transition. I want to thank you.
Thanks, Secretary General. We are going to take 2 rounds of questions. We'll take the first 5 and the last 5. So what I'm appealing to colleagues to do, because DSG, you said they are my constituency now, so they must just explain which media outlet they represent and their names. Okay, we can start you at the back, and 3. So it's 1, oh Sophie, 2, yes, and then you'll come after Mahlatsi, and then 3, ENCA, 4, and 5. You'll come after. So you can just explain the media outlet you come from, your name, yes, and the question.
Sophie Mkwena from the SABC. I just want to find out why President Zuma was requesting 3 months. What were the reasons? Secondly, did you get an indication that he will respect and abide by the resolution of the NEC to resign? Is he going to resign?
Thank you very much. It's Conita Hunter from the Sunday Times newspaper. SG, I just want to follow up on my colleague's question with regards to what did President Jacob Zuma tell you this morning when you delivered the news to him that the NEC has decided to recall him from office? Is there a timeline attached to his vacating of the office? When will there be a new president of the ANC in government? And the third question I wanted to ask is about the briefing of caucus. Is there any plans for the ANC to sort of set up their own or call for their own motion of no confidence after the meeting tomorrow? Thank you.
My 2 colleagues before me, sorry, Nicholas Bayer from the NCA, asked mostly what I wanted to ask, but perhaps you could extrapolate on how Jacob Zuma, how the president reacted to you delivering the letter to him this morning, and if you have decided who will replace President Jacob Zuma after being recalled. Will it in fact be the president of the ANC, or if there is another plan moving forward?
Hi, Semile Cele from the City Press newspaper. You touched on the mood of the country being part of the reason why you came to this decision to recall President Jacob Zuma. Can you perhaps elaborate a little bit more? It was obviously an extensive discussion that went on for 13 hours. What exactly is the reason for the decision to recall Jacob Zuma? What has he done?
Hi, it's John Sparks from Sky News. Have you given President Zuma a deadline, a firm deadline, by which point he has to resign the presidency? And a second question, what will you do if he doesn't step down?
No, thanks, SG. So we have taken the first 5. If you didn't make it, then you will be considered for the second last round. SG.
Yeah. Well, let me start with the first question. We went with the DSG today to meet with the President and communicate the decision of the NEC. So as we communicated this decision, obviously we are giving him time and space to respond. We haven't given him any deadline to respond. As to whether he's going to resign or not, I think we are saying, in terms of our Constitution Rule 12, we are actually saying after constructive discussions and the fact that the problem is about the shortening the time, which the NEC could not agree to. Initially, it was our approach that probably is possible, because remember, the NEC officials, we are not a decision-making body. We are part of the collective. We then went to the NEC, but the NEC said because of transition and uncertainty, we really need to take a decision. So when we recall our deployee, we expect our deployee to do what the organization expects him to do. So I don't know what will happen, but let's leave it to President Jacob Zuma. Timelines, no, we were not going to him, but I think the NEC believed that this is an Asian matter, so it must be treated with agency. As the ANC, we have not yet discussed any motion of no confidence because we don't believe that the ANC, for now, because there was a motion of no confidence by EFF. And that's why there is this resolution that officials must keep interacting with the president. And so the ANC for now has not put any motion of no confidence. Whatever processes which are supposed to happen in Parliament once we had a response, I think that's what will actually happen. Oh, it's obvious that in terms of our Constitution, the president of the ANC, that's what we have taken a resolve in Polokwane. The president of the ANC must become the candidate for the presidency of the country. The only problem we are dealing with is these times which are not aligned. The ANC conference is not aligned to the elections of the country. And I think when we did so, to us, in terms of our wisdom, we felt it was the right thing to do. But we can see that it is actually creating this gap in between. So the collective of the NEC believe that indeed President Cyril Ramaphosa must take over the presidency in terms of our Constitution. You can't then have another president who is not the president of the ANC. No, the reason for recall was that we engaged and we were looking forward to an amicable solution, and we will then see what President Zuma's response is. But it's obvious that we want Comrade Ramaphosa to come in as the president of South Africa.
Okay, we are now taking the last 5. No, don't worry, sides I will choose. Matlatsi will take, we're taking 5 as agreed. Got 1, 2, okay. You are counting yourselves. Okay, 3, Koli 4, and then 5.
Then you take the last one.
We'll take, okay, the SGS agreed that we can be generous and take the last round. Okay. So we can follow that format. Just introduce yourself and the media outlet you represent and the question.
Thank you very much, Matlatsi from News 24. SG, is it not short-sighted of the ANC to not give President Jacob Zuma a deadline, given that things are moving past very quickly? The EFF has already gone to the Speaker asking for the motion of no confidence to actually be brought forward. And these talks that you've been having have taken so long, and you have admitted to the anxiety that South Africans are feeling. If he doesn't decide it, then what? The second question is, are you aware of any moves by President Jacob Zuma to go to the courts to challenge the NEC decision? And last week, DSG, you said that there had never been an ANC deployee that had defied the party. President Jacob Zuma has clearly continued to defy the party, still refusing to resign last night. The NEC has powers to actually suspend a member summarily and institute DC processes. Will you be considering that?
Molweni, Pumzile from A Black Opinion. I have 2 questions, SG. One, why are you removing President Zuma now? He has not been found in any court to have been guilty. The only reasonable deduction is that you are acting on behalf of something we call white monopoly capital. Secondly, many pro-RET forces believe the removal of Zuma is to ensure the end of RET. For example, Utatu Gwede Mantashe has already actually denounced a land expropriation without compensation. So we think this is a political attack. So I have those 2 questions.
Yes, in that order.
Thank you. Clement Manyatela from Eyewitness News. I've got quick questions. SJ, you're saying you had fruitful and constructive discussions. I'm a bit confused. What was fruitful and constructive about the discussions if you failed to agree with the president on his removal and the timelines and of course, the issue of the 3 months that he had requested that you didn't agree with? So what was constructive about those discussions? The continued discussions, as I understand it, you have taken a decision that you're recalling the president. Is there room for negotiation? Shouldn't he just accept that the NEC has decided to recall him? Or are you creating room for more engagement because you say the top leadership will continue discussions with the president? Discussions about what? Because the decision has been taken. Thank you.
Can I ask?
No, there's a hand that we recognize behind you. You'll be the last one on this round.
Thank you very much. Tony from ENCA. SG, do you agree that President Jacob Zuma, by refusing to resign, he's in violation of the party discipline? If so, will you prefer charges on him? And when will that be? Second question, was the decision of the NEC unanimous that President Jacob Zuma should go? I'll leave it there for now.
No, actually, I took a hand that side, and then we'll start with you in the new round. You'll open the new round. Chief, can...
Hello. Hi, my name is Sam. I'm Kokeli from Bloomberg News. And Mr. Mamet, thanks for the opportunity. SG, could you please take us into the room and just to get a bit more detail about the meeting last night? I understand you were part of the delegation that went to see Mr. Zuma. Did you find him asleep? Was he in his pajamas? Did he open the gate for you? Did he tell you to get lost? How long did it take? It's important detail for us, Mr. Chad, an important decision. I'd like to know a bit more about the content and the nature of that conversation. And also for you, I'm not trying to personalize it, but in your capacity as SG, how difficult is it for you to be handling this conversation with Mr. Zuma, considering your well-known views on the leadership issues in the ANC and your preferences previously and currently? Thank you.
Well, let me start with the last question. Yes, last night I went with the president of the ANC to meet Comrade President Jacob Zuma. To convey and engage him of the fact that the NEC is not agreeing to shortening the time in terms of 6 to 3 months. It's 3 months to 6 months. And we wanted to hear his views. He was still up. He's very active president, very healthy, and our discussions were very cordial because we respect him as a leader, as one of the leaders of the ANC, who has contributed immensely in the struggle against apartheid. So we went there and we engaged him and we said the NEC is continuing to discuss this. We are going to finalize this matter today, which was last night. And he said, you know, I'm a disciplined member of the ANC. I don't believe that the NEC has a right to take any decision. I'm just persuading the NEC to take into cognizance that the time in which we are and the period, there are many challenges for the ANC. Therefore, we should find a way of resolving these matters amicably and once more plead for that time frame. It's obvious when you deal with transition, and that's why even with Shatil and myself, we are given a period. At workplace, you are given a period. But here we are in politics, and when we think that this is the time when we have to take a decision, unfortunately or fortunately, I understand the traditions and the culture of the ANC. Yes, I favored President Jacob Zuma, and I've always supported him. I supported him because he was the president of the ANC. Every member of the ANC at any given stage is supposed to support the president of the party at that particular moment. Whether it was Nelson Mandela, whether it was Thabo Mbeki, whether it was Jacob Zuma, we have always rallied behind our leaders. Because one of the reasons why President Jacob Zuma was requesting to stay for that period, you must remember he's chairing SADC and BRICS. And it was a fair request and plea. It's just that the ANC felt as a party that we can't wait for that period. The period is too long. Maybe this is the time to make sure that we allow President Ramaphosa so that there is that smooth transition. If JZ is refusing to resign, should you prefer charges? We'll deal with that matter whenever we'll consider, because we have already considered an action here. We have already acted. By recalling our deployee, it means we have acted. The NEC has actually acted. Phumzile, I'm not sure of the white monopoly capital. And I'm not sure whether it can be true that Comrade National Chairperson Gwere Mantashe has said that there is no such decision like land expropriation without compensation. I think if you listen to President Ramaphosa and all of us speaking, radical economic transformation is what we have adopted at National Conference. And one of the resolutions we have taken is that we are going to expropriate land without compensation. And as we do so, we do it within the conscripts of the law, so that we boost and we ensure that we stimulate the economy of South Africa. So our trajectory of radical economic transformation won't change. It doesn't matter who is in charge, because us, where we are, is to monitor throughout spheres of government that our deployees implement radical economic transformation. Is there still room for negotiation? Yes, we are a political party which wants to resolve matters politically. And if there is that space, and President Jacob Zuma wants to further engage us, we'll do so. But I think the decision of the National Executive Committee is now final. Recall President Jacob Zuma. So that decision can change. Powers of the NEC, as I said, we have already acted, and we are not treating Jacob Zuma as a leader who is defiant and all that. I think we're engaging one of our leaders who have contributed to the liberation of South Africans. So we'll treat him with dignity. There is no need for us to, as we have said, humiliate him. But when you are part of a collective, was our decision unanimous? No, in meetings, there are different views. And as you assess the mood of the meeting, you can feel that we all move together. Even if you did not agree with the decision, because we have, in the ANC, we have divergent views. But at the end, we look at the situation, and once the decision is taken, even if my view was not agreeing to a view of the majority, we are from that school of thought which says we take decisions as a collective. So this is the decision of the National Executive Committee of the ANC. It's not a decision of some people or whatever. It's our decision. That's how we operate as an organization. So we are expecting the president to respond tomorrow. I'm sure tomorrow the president will respond. Tomorrow. There's no deadline. Tomorrow the president will respond. I don't know whether you call it a deadline. But I know president will respond tomorrow, and he will respond. I'm sure he will call you as the media. Okay?
Okay, that's the last promise. We're starting with you. And then, no, we are done this side. Let's take this side. Yourself, 3. Then we'll have to take 2 hands this side. Just to balance, colleagues, you must agree, it's not going to be possible to have all of you asking questions. You can still ask, send your questions through as well. Let's take you, and then, no, SABC, you have been covered already. No, Sophie asked. Can I increase the number now? Just take 7, is the last group. Okay. Okay, Ntebo. Okay, let's take you. Okay, let's take yourself, and yourself. We are done. Okay, we can take you as well. Okay. Yeah. No, okay, it's closed. This is the last round, and then from there we are done. Any other question we can entertain afterwards? You can email it. Okay, let's start.
Thank you for finally recognizing me. My name is Ranjini Mansami. I'm from TISO Black Star. SG, thank you for responding to our questions. President Zuma has said several times that he won't resign of his own accord. Did you give him reasons as to why he should step down, why the decision was taken to recall him? What were the reasons that you gave him? And you told us that because of the socio-economic situation in the country, it was this reason that you decided to recall your deployee. When did the ANC decide that we have social and economic problems in South Africa so that you need a change in the presidency? Secondly, I said you told us that there were social and economic problems in the country, and for that reason, you decided to recall your deployee in the presidency. I'm asking, sir, when did you decide, when did the ANC realize that there were these social and economic problems that required a change in the presidency? Secondly, you've had South Africa on hold for some time now on this issue. You've postponed the State of the Nation address. Sir, can you please take the country into your confidence and tell us what were the nature of the negotiations with the president, particularly over the last week? Thank you.
Fergal Keane, BBC News. Can I just clarify something? If the president does not resign in that response tomorrow, will you move and institute a motion of no confidence? Can we clarify that, yes or no? And secondly, do you worry that this is going to split the ANC, divide the movement irreparably?
My name is Kabushala Mashal from TV. Other than the issue of extended period that you have already told us about, SG, did President Zuma mention? Let me talk. Other than the issue of the extended time period, SG, that the president has already mentioned, what other conditions did President Zuma mention as a precondition for him to leave? And you've also said that the decision to take what was taken in the interest of the country. Is it in the interest of the country to prolong this decision without any firm time frames to it? And lastly, if the motion of no confidence happens to go forward anyway, will you support the opposition parties? Thanks.
SG, it's Aviram Tila from CNBC Africa. Regarding the State of the Nation address, I just want to find out, did the ANC discuss maybe when it will be, because it's indefinite now, and you are on record yourself saying that President Jacob Zuma will still address the State of the Nation address. I want to find out from you, is that still the case, or who will address the State of the Nation address? Thank you.
It's supposed to come this side.
Hi, thank you. Sasanda from Black Excellence Network. I needed to find out something. You said the president will respond tomorrow. Knowing our president, what if he doesn't respond? And what are you guys going to do about it? And then two, I need to know, because the President have mentioned in numerous times that he will gladly step down if you give him reasons, and also clarify properly what is transition, because in the voice note that I had, the transition was just to take out power from him and hand it over to President Ramaphosa. So I think that he doesn't understand that type of transition. Did you explain why is he supposed to step down? And is he by any chance having an idea on what is going to happen if he steps, because I'm sure that right now his issue, as you said, he mentioned he's still heading the BRICS, he's still heading the SADC. Is he going to continue that side as just Jacob Zuma, or you're going to hand over everything to the other side? There's just too many things that we're not clarified on here.
Yeah, it will come to you. You can ask and then it comes down.
Okay, Ashlyn Lang from The Times. SG, would you agree that this is incredibly embarrassing for the ANC? That over many years and despite mounting evidence of corruption, the ANC has defended its president to the hilt and defeated any attempt to remove him from office. Now you have to do that yourselves. And even though you present it as a terribly amicable, friendly discussion, that everybody is on board, clearly it's a deeply uncomfortable process for you. Will you concede and just talk a little about that?
My name is Sentebo. I'm with the SABC. I've got three questions, but one has been asked, especially on what will happen if the president doesn't step down tomorrow. Are you going to opt for a motion of no confidence that has been asked? The second question is, except the fact that there is anxiety and uncertainty in the country, are there any other tangible reasons for that would force the ANC to recall the president? If I may to help, maybe do you have reasons like the state capture? Are those one of the reasons that informed your decision to recall him? And maybe the last question. The ANC, when it went to its elective conference, there was a talk about realigning or maybe synergizing the term of the ANC president of the Republic, and that hasn't happened. And just before the conference or after the conference, people are talking about the two centers of power. Are you likely going to align these two centers of power? And can you confidently say as the ANC today that your next president, even after the 20-whatever elections, is going to finish his term as the president of the country? I'm saying, because you've got two centers of power, every time the ANC or some in the ANC are saying there's a problem of the two centers of power. And the question is, because this thing hasn't been aligned or realigned, or there's no synergy between the president of the country and the president of the ANC. In future, are you going to have the president of the ANC not finishing his term? Because it seems the president has been set. Are we together on this?
My name is Calvin Olmo from ANN7. I just wanted to ask, did all the 86 ANC-NEC members attend yesterday's meeting, and the decision that you all came to, was it a unanimous decision? And my second question is, if you said President Ramaphosa is NEC's choice to be the next president of the Republic, who is your choice for deputy president? And my last question, seeing that President Zuma has refused to resign, could the country be headed to a constitutional crisis? Thank you so much.
My name is John Clark. I'm a freelance writer with Newsweek and other publications. The 3-month request to stay in office, there's been speculation as to why President Zuma wanted that. Frankly, few of us believe that the real reason was because of SADC and ceremonial functions he needed to perform. The two theories are, the one is that he wanted to stay in touch so that he could somehow rescue the Russian nuclear deal. The other one was that he could stay in until such time as the SASA grants crisis worsened and he could declare a state of emergency and use emergency powers. Now, I know these are speculative, but in a climate where information doesn't flow very constructively from President Zuma and the ANC, and we become distrust so much of the fake news, can you give us some reassurance that we are not facing some fatal potential alternative measures that President Zuma might resort to on one or both of those critical issues?
Well, I think we must treat President Jacob Zuma as the President of the Republic of South Africa. President Zuma has not been found guilty by any court of law. And when we took these decisions, we did not take these decisions because Comrade Jacob Zuma has done anything wrong. We decided as an organization, we are a political organization, we are still a liberation movement. We decided as an organization that in terms of our constitution, there is the president of the ANC now, and I've already talked about this matter of making sure that we align. And consciously, we said that Comrade Ramaphosa must become the president of the ANC. And therefore, if there will be SONA, which we want to happen, you must remember it's not a constitutional legal requirement that much. But if SONA has to be there, it will be addressed by President Ramaphosa. There is no question about it. SONA will be addressed by Comrade Ramaphosa. So forget about fake news of the Russian nuclear and any other thing. I think that is disrespect for President Jacob Zuma. We still believe him as our leader in the ANC. So, as I've said earlier on, and why we said our discussions were constructive, in our earlier discussions between ourselves, President Jacob Zuma and President Ramaphosa, there was an understanding that indeed it will be good for President Jacob Zuma to introduce Comrade Ramaphosa to BRICS leadership as well as SADC when it happens. And we came out of that meeting believing that this is our decision. But remember, as officials, we are not a structured deciding. That's why we had to go and engage the National Executive Committee. Earlier on, we were happy with that timelines. But the National Executive Committee, because it's the highest decision-making body, had a different view of which we are part of. So this view now is our view as the collective of the ANC. Jacob Zuma has never said, this is what I want to do, these are the conditions I'm giving you. We said, no, it's fine. If we can't agree, but let the National Executive Committee take its own decisions. And we'll take it from there. I think I've already responded to who will be the deputy president when Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa becomes the president. I don't know, because we have not finalized that matter. The deputy president of the country, I don't know. It's a matter for the president and the National Executive Committee to decide. I can't express my view, but I know that there will definitely be a deputy president. No, in our January 8th statement, we have said this is the year of renewal, this is the year of unity, this is the year of jobs. So when we talk about economic growth and stimulation, I think we are citing, and indeed South Africa and the whole globe is facing social and economic challenges. It's not only South Africa. And we believe with our leadership collective both in government and outside government, President Ramaphosa at the head. We think this is time for renewal, this is time for hope. The mood is positive. This is the mood which comes from conference. And therefore, we are moving with that understanding. Extended time period, I've already said the president will respond tomorrow. So there isn't any extended time period. Motion of no confidence, will the ANC split? I don't know whether the ANC will split. But we are leaders, we belong to branches, and we are appealing to our structures to understand that the National Executive Committee has taken decisions. And that's why we are going to engage our structures throughout South Africa this weekend. The split, I don't know about the split. As the party, a revolutionary party, I don't know whether we'll support the motion of no confidence. We are a party, and any party which is governing, there is no way the opposition will support it. The role of the opposition is to oppose what the party is actually, the ruling party or governing party is doing. So we are not expecting, in a normal situation, you don't expect, because there will always be party lines. You can't be a party member and you vote with your conscience. That doesn't actually exist. And there are no two centers of power. I'm sure we have agreed on this one. There are no two centers of power. The center of power is the African National Congress. What else is there? Because all deployees, all of us, wherever we are directed by the African National Congress. And at provincial level, it's PECs, as national, it's the NEC of the ANC. So there is one center, that center is the ANC. I think I've responded to unanimous decision, I've said collective decision. Collective decision. 84.5 members were present. And we discuss and discuss and discuss. And at the end of discussions, once you take a resolution, it is called collective decision. Okay. Thank you very much.
No. Thank you very much for coming. If there are any other questions, you can bring them forward with our communications head, Kusela, and then we'll be able to attend to those. Thanks for coming.
Okay.
In my career, I don't think I've